All right, everybody, welcome to the channel. All right, so got an options chart open. So that's on the 15-minute. We'll open up a new chart. Make that ES. That's going to be on the 5-minute. And then we'll add a template. Go 1-minute entry. All right, so perfect. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna replay today's New York session. We're gonna keep an eye at these market maker exposure, options exposure, negative positive exposure, as well as this GEX exposure levels where we could expect price to accelerate or slow down. So that's our plan. So the first thing we need to do in Deepcharts is turn off our feeds. We're gonna change our chart to New York session only, which is perfect. And then we'll turn on the replay tick data, symbol, CME, ES. You might want to add MES as well. That way, if you want to look at ES and trade on MES, that's perfectly possible. So if you're interested in reading the ES action, but actually taking your positions on MES, they're obviously not the same, but you see more volume and size on the larger contract. So sometimes it's a little bit more easy to spot entries. Now we're gonna re-enter Wednesday. We're gonna start at 06 0630. Now we set it. We'll be ready to start. So the goal for this stream, which is going to be fairly short, maybe an hour or less in duration, is to just pay attention to the options levels as well as the real-time order flow and see if we can identify some spots that allow us to take a few trades. And I believe I need to change this to ETH so I can see the overnight. Awesome. So we're ready to go. Let me set this up for y'all. Chart 1. This is an options chart. These are real-time levels from the CBOE as of 6:30 in the morning today. And what you'll notice are some blue lines and some pink or red lines, depending on your monitor. And then you'll see a red line. That is the 0 gamma delta. And we have negative GEX levels where lots of market maker exposure are. We have positive GEX levels, which are also market maker exposure levels. Then over here on the right, this is just like acceleration. So right now, not a ton going on. Most of the options, especially 0 date to expiration, happen in the New York session. So options levels advanced, you notice we're tracking 0 date to expiration, market maker GEX, the market maker exposure, the dealers. And you can see that we plotted 5 levels and we colored them. I think 1 pixel might be better. So step 1 takes a little time to load the options data. Fuck, I'm already tired. All right, there we go. So that's what we have. Now, once the New York session opens, this is going to change dramatically. So just keep that in mind. So we're just going to move it at 8x speed. And we'll watch the real-time 1-minute order flow play out till 9:30. So we're going to go get 8x. Put that on the left, put that on the right. And not too concerned with what's happening. So we're going to speed this up about 100 times. We're going to run it till we get to about 9:30. All right, so we're at 8 o'clock. See, like right now, there's not a ton of exposure. Biggest exposure is up here at 77.50. Okay, so we're going to pause that. So this was crazy. This news right here was on a buyback of bonds. Or buyback plan where they were doubling some shit. Because yields and interest rates are kind of getting out of hand. So they increased the buyback program from like, excuse me, 2 billion to 4 billion, which is pretty inconsequential as far as I'm understanding. So let's see this move right here. So this pre-market move was 25 points. Pretty big move. Okay. Approximately the same as this move. So that was also a 25-point move, or 23. Just about. So it's kind of ironic that these moves are about the same size. All right, so those were significant ranges. And then one more thing that's just significant from a market structure is this swing right here. The high that put in this low. We can get rid of these lines to make it a little bit easier to see. So these are the two big ranges that we saw in the overnight session. So price moved up to this GEX level. Let's keep playing. We're at 854. Let's go ahead and pause it again. Range is massive. Okay, so it's 43 points, 42.75 points, massive range. So we put in a high, put in a low, clean the high, and extended 36 points from the high. These option levels were pre-market. We ripped through up to the next GEX line. We're going to put on 40X and play. We still have about a half hour before they open. Let's see how this plays out. So we rip up to this biggest market maker exposure level, pre-market, and price stopped. It acted as a break. So went to the most important GEX level and price halted. Market makers overnight had positive exposure at this level. Lots of it. It's just interesting. So just keep that in mind. These levels will change dynamically as the exposures change on the right side. Okay, we'll restart. We're at 9:15. Just gonna let this run. Every bar is a minute. And we'll pause it one more time, 1 minute before the open. Okay, so Okay, so the overnight session starts there. It ends right here. And interestingly enough, if we look at the delta profile, most of the selling occurred at 77.54 right here. All right, and price turned around. Look at candles here. The price went to 77.58, hit a brick wall and turned around. So 758 is our high. And the overnight low. So we're pretty boxed in. So we have some good reference points. And on the bottom side, this node right here, this area, is likely where buyers could step back in. The price returns down, which is also this previous range that we broke out of on this news. We have lots of repair. All right, we had some sellers step in here. It's always good to mark these levels. We had sellers step in right here. Preparation is probably 75% of the work. We had buyers step in here, then we had another. Tried to drop in here. So that's where selling interest is, and this is where buying interest is. This range is actually a little bigger. But I think we can go with that. Go ahead and so now we have some levels to follow. And some zones. All right, so now, as we're beginning the day, the largest GEX level on the positive side is 77, 76, 25. So we'll go 77, 70. $77, 76, 25. And the biggest negative gex level is 77, 86, 75. Close enough. All right. And 70, 651, 25. Looks like you're right at this resistance. All right, so now we have some levels. We're gonna start this on 1x speed and just pay attention to what happens with the options level. So basically I have this massive drive up on news. After sweeping some lows, then turning back around, making a higher high, higher low, then we turn around and make another higher high and a higher low. So we could consider this the third higher high and higher low. Now, generally speaking, we're looking for a tap back into this zone down here, or this zone, or taking off. The high that put in this low, we're just paying attention. We'll speed it up a little. you can see how the options levels change and the exposures as the time passes. So these levels move as well. So once we get to our location down here or maybe up higher, we'll make a decision on a trade. But for right now, we're waiting. The GEX levels are changing over here as well. 77.76 is the largest number. 77.50. So it's moving up. 77.76. Way up here. Actually 77.43. It's the biggest level now. And on the positive side, 77.55 is the biggest level. Or negative side, excuse me. All right, so you can see, I'm gonna pause this. We have it on 8x speed. We're about 20 minutes into the session. We tapped right into this zone. Where buyers stepped in before. And price pushed up. And before we start to see negative price, that's a 12-point trade, 13-point trade. So I think 10 points on ES is a good trade. So we tap back in. What's also interesting, I'm going to go back about 6 minutes. It's going to take a minute to build. So we got to slow down to speed up. Okay. So backtesting with these options levels, it's a new thing to me. So I really need to go slow because I'm really trying to see if I can pay attention to how the market moves. Okay, so we have this level down here at 77.19. All right, so it's the second largest positive exposure level. 77. What the fuck, man? Not again. There we go. So 77.19, which is right here. Somewhere around there. Now, if we wanted to combine it all on one chart, we can, but I like to see this larger time frame and then have the smaller time frame, either 5 minutes or 1 minute. Now, if we wait for 5 minutes, I think sometimes you just miss the move. So you got to take on some risk. So we're going to play this back 1x speed. So it's going to take a few minutes. But let's zoom in. Pretty strong push down. Some aggressive sellers stepping in, some aggressive buyers. Price keeps moving down. You can see the delta is significant. The volume is pretty standard and consistent throughout all of these candles. And we got about a 5%, 4%, and 15% pull through here. Just remember, these levels change constantly. Okay, so we ripped through this negative market maker GEX level, and we're approaching this previous zone that I discussed earlier. So we're tapping back into the previous zone that we left on the news and testing the zone before generally we're going to get a retracement back to at least 77.23 before it decides which way it wants to go. So we want to tap into the zone, come out of it. Who knows? But essentially retraced almost the entire move that happened from the news. So it got faded within 15 minutes. Buyers step back in before returning to the previous validated high and validated low. It's actually even lower than this. And here's where the New York session began. All right, so quick pause. So when we return to this level, generally speaking, these levels, if strong enough, act as a break. Doesn't mean the price is going to reverse and go back up, but what it means is it's likely going to pause, which might be a good place if you were in a short to take profit or maybe scale out. So let's see what happens when we tag that level. Remember, the green also represents where lots of buyers stepped in to push the price up before. So we have a level that should act as a break, and we have aggressive buyers that have been here operating. Let's take a look. All right, so you can see right here on this chart. Right there. So I mean, if I was just to get into a blind trade here, this should be our ETH now. So we have some consolidation here. So we almost tapped into this GEX level, stopped short of it, and then bounced back. So we tapped into this previous range and rejected. $12.5 points so far, 50 ticks. And as I had these two purple levels marked here, so that's 77.43. This level is still valid. Maybe we get a break when we turn up to this other positive GEX level, or not. All right, so we're going to speed it up a little because I'm not going to sit here for 6 hours, and we're going to speed it up. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so we are now reapproaching this GEX level that moved up to 44. We'll put it back to 1 minute just for a moment. Let's zoom in to the footprint. So again, it appears that this boundary, which is also the strongest GEX level, is acting as a break. So we had it act as a break to the downside and act as a break to the upside. So that's how our day started. And those just happen to be the two largest GEX exposure levels. Oh, we'll speed it up a little bit. 8x. So whenever we get close to one of these levels, we're going to pause it. Oh. So at 8x speed, we should be able to get through this in an hour. The entire day. This level's not even here anymore. So selling pressure is real. Okay, let's pause for a second here. So we just came up to this GEX level, which is the third most important level of the negative GEX levels. We tried to break through it and essentially failed to break through it. Return to the zero GEX line. making our way back to this strong positive gamma exposure for the dealers. And what I see at the moment, the most basic level, is we have some resistance right here. And there was some selling down here, but buyers essentially absorbed it and sent it back up. Okay, so we just had a shift in options levels. Let's pause real quick. 77.45 is still a level. 77.50 is a level. We won't mark that. 77.54 still a level. Then 77.05, maybe another level. Okay. Bullshit. Just click. Oh, I swear to God, sometimes. I hate to complain, but there's some buggy ass shit. All right, back at it. We've also bounced off this 0 gex line multiple times. And this gex level 2 at 77.40 is also acting as a break. So we broke through it, retesting 77.44. We broke through it. Broke through both of them. This level moved. And now we're approaching this negative exposure gex level. So the idea here is if we blow through this level, we should expand up to maybe the next level, or the next level, or the next, or the next. Let's see what happens. On the order floor, sellers step back in. Speed up a little more. Again, if we break through this level, we should extend up higher. That's 4.75 points. And also see here we have buying aggression. Price got pushed up, and when we come back to here, 77.70, should act as a break. Speed up a little bit more. See if these act as a break here. Come back to the 0 Gex line. We break through both positive Gex levels back to the downside. For a quick fail down, return to what was resistance is now possibly support. Right, maybe we're turning this into support here. And these levels are acting as a break. Return back up. Again, remember, if we break through here, we're likely to continue to impulse higher at a faster rate, more acceleration, less slowdown. Another 4.5 points. Retest of the 0 Gex line and this support. Where there may be more buyers ready to step in. so we're at 1248. Okay, so we broke through our resistance. We look on the 15-minute range, this high that put in this low, we retrace 50%, and we're probably going to come back to here before we go down to here. And that's just off market structure. So that would be another trade for sure. Stop loss behind the zone at 77,727. Take profit at 77.46. We missed it by a couple ticks here. Stop is still safe. Pretty flat day overall. So these levels acting as a break. The 3 p.m. New York time. So we got another hour price action to look at. Then we'll be ready for tomorrow. Do the same thing, just in real time. All right, so we're coming back up to this 0 gex line. We broke through it, retested it, came back down. Think of it as like a VWAP. And then we pretty uneventful day actually. Tight range. See if we rip through to the downside here. Generally break through here, we're going to get some extension. That's 4.75 points. 8 points. 9 points. So we would have got stopped out in that trade if we took a long. So Obviously it's in the range, so probably not the best idea. That's pretty much it. Pretty uneventful day. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. We'll close the replayer. It's gonna reset back to the current action. What this is right here. And ETH is fine. ETH is fine. So we'll load this up and call it a day. So yes, pretty much going nowhere. So we'll do that again tomorrow. But for now, price essentially stayed in the middle of that range once we had that long move to the upside. All right, so that concludes it for today. Nothing too exciting there, but you know, we did the homework. We looked at some stuff, and hopefully we see something more interesting tomorrow. Have a good one, y'all.